our guest speaker of today. He is the past president and 2 times vice president of education of H&B Toastmasters Club. He is the past area and past division director. He is also the past assistant chief judge of District 82. I am talking about distinguished Toastmaster Piyacara. Yada, oh my God, this name's Jayari. This is a challenge for me. It's so different. Piyacat, DTF, Piyacara, please join us.
Thank you, Toastmaster Valentina. I think I pronounced your name properly. Yes, Toastmaster of the day. Right. Tinusha, I think I need your assistance with regard to the presentation because I have shared the PP with you. What I'm going to take you through today is trying to let you know that how to visualize your judging. And now that the season is coming up, the judging season is coming up. I'm not too sure whether you all have already embarked on your contest material right now or started your contest, but still for all, to look at the judge's ballot sheet from the speaker's viewpoint. Most of us have this difficulty of understanding speaker, but then from our own intellect and from what we have learned and on our own background that we have of our from where we have studied or from what we have understood in our life, we try to give our judgment without understanding the real ballot sheet introduced by the Toastmasters International. However intelligent we are, or however educated we are, we need to, the paramount importance of the ballot sheet is that we need to understand the ballot sheet and go by that. I know that the audience that I'm speaking to is varied and that they are from different backgrounds, and you would have a different mindset when I take you through this presentation. So please be cautious and take whatever is needed when you are considering my content when I'm going forward. So it does not necessarily mean that you have to go by this, but when you look at what you have been doing, there could be senior Toastmasters who had been judges already. And when you put your pen down, just think whether you have been thinking that from the viewpoint of the speaker. So let's move on with the presentation. That's what I'm going to take you through. So this will more relate to as if I'm talking to a speaker as to how well they need to develop their speech to comply with the ballot sheet that the judges have in their hands. So if there are any speakers in this audience who want to embark on a contest speech or an international speech contest, that would also be of very high importance. So they too can follow this. But my message is to those who are going in for judging. As a senior judge who would have most probably judged about 1,000 odd speakers as of now, I have a reasonable understanding how a ballot sheet goes through. And most of the time when I give my ballot sheet, the winners are in par with my judgment. So I am not taking any credit to that, but I think that comes with the experience. So let us go through this presentation per se. I'm going to go very quickly because there are about 14 slides. I will take about 1 minute per each slide. Hope that you will understand it properly. May I ask whether you all are, whether my vocals are pretty audible to you all?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Pinochet, next slide, please. Okay, as a speaker, what should I do? Now, this is for the speakers that those who are in the audience. As a speaker, what should I do? Well, come on stage, just not with a speech, but it needs to be a creative speech. And when you have a creative speech, ensure that you have rehearsed, recorded, listened to, and selected a maximum of 2 mentors take you through that speech. If you had trained yourself with 2 mentors and with your final script, if those 2 mentors have gone through with your speech, you are through to embark on a speech on a stage. So never ever go just by a speech that you think that you could do a speech better. I am a speaker. This is my mother tongue. This is my, I have no issues with my language skills. So I will definitely go with what I have. I do not recommend you to, I do not suggest and recommend you to do that. However good you are, it's always recommended that you come up with a creative speech and do have a mentor or two and show them and at least deliver the speech a couple of times and get their feedback, so that before you go in, you can polish and brush your speech. Look great at first impression. You come on stage. Now, my presentation mostly is not on virtual presentation. Eventually during this year or going forward, except for this particular platform, which is international, we might have to go on physical presentation. But still, for all, when you are coming on a virtual platform, if you are not ready with the first word that you need to utter, you are not winning the audience attention. So first impression is on a virtual presentation would be how good you look, how well you are attired, and how well and how audible you are with the few lines that you are going through to the audience on a virtual. So make sure that your first impression lasts forever. What the audience, when you are finished the speech, well, the speakers in online audience who might not be as jovial or just away work, just woke up from their sleep or whatever, they have to come in for the meeting. Let them all get up from their laziness and say, wow, that was a speech of the century. That was a super speech. I really love that speech. And start sharp, build sharp, your building of the speech, and then end sharp. Next slide. Now we come on to becoming a judge. When you are the speaker, the judges would look at your speech topic. As a speaker, your speech topic is pretty important. If it is a lengthy speech topic that it does not have an opening and an ending, well, some speakers bring that just to confuse the audience and confuse the judges, but then they, on their content, they elaborate it in such a way that they come to a certain conclusion. But still, for all, on a table, on a speech, we always recommend the speech to have an anchoring message and a particular topic that will immediately grasp the attention of the audience. How you walk on stage on a virtual platform, how you move on stage, how you first appear on stage, how well groomed you are, how you shake hands with the contestant. It is of course for a virtual audience, but for a physical audience, not for a virtual audience. How you stand on the stage, that is when on a virtual platform, whether you stand straight, covering your whole body, all that covers how confident you deliver your speech, how well you use your props, if any, how well you dramatize, differentiate your conversations. You know, you have certain dramatizing to be done. You have to converse from one to the other. You have to make differences during your speech, how well you start and end your speech. That is the paramount importance in delivering a speech to an audience. How well you start, how well you end. That will have a lasting impression in the audience. Next. Well, let's move on to the ballot sheet per se. This ballot sheet had been tested and proven over a period of time. I recommend we go by this ballot sheet, how well experienced you are over there. Whoever had been a judge all over these years at Toastmasters, I will always recommend the way that you mark could be different. How well that you mark them down or up is different, but we need to go by each component in the ballot sheet, and for that say your content will carry 50%. Your content will carry 50% out of the 100%. So whatever the speech that you are delivering, ensure you have brushed and polished your content. That's why I said you need to write, rewrite, and come with a final script. And that will go through 2 mentors at least before you embark on your final rehearsal. So your content matters, and content is 50%. It has speech development, effectiveness, and speech value. Let us move on to the different breakups so that we will have a better understanding. Speech development, out of the 50 points, you have 20 points on the speech development. Have your points together so that the audience understood you. Judges have the speaker have put the points together so that you understood all those points that was delivered by the speaker. Have your speech purpose structured around the opening, body, and close. Why Toastmasters International always emphasize on opening, body, close, or for that matter, is for the easy understanding of the audience. And during that 5 to 7 minutes, we need to capture the audience and bring out some essence through the speech. So opening, body, close is something that we need to concentrate, and how well the opening is done, how well the body is done, and how well the close is done is of importance. So as a judge, we need to see whether the speaker had a definite opening and the body with lots of content, or not lot of content depending on the speech time available, whether they had certain points and stories to illustrate or some message to illustrate, and whether the closing radiated with the opening what the speaker just said. So need to have, generally we always look at opening and the close to have a connection. So I would also suggest, this is just my opinion, to go by and see whether there is a connection between the opening and the body, opening and the close, and it has an impactful opening and an ending. Did your speech capture the audience's attention and concluded equally well? This is what I said. So if you can conclude your speech well and capture the audience right throughout, you are a winner. Did you have relevant examples and illustration? Of course, during the body part of it, whether you had examples and illustration is important. As a judge, you need to see whether the speaker had examples and illustrations, facts and figures well combined. Was your delivery smooth and blended in the framework? Yes, these are things that a judge needs to be looking at rather than a speaker. So we need to, as a speaker, concentrate on those facts, as well as a judge needs to look at on all these aspects as well. Let us move on to the other part of the content. 15%. Effectiveness is the judge's viewpoint, how well the audience grasps the speech. Well, judges need to understand, well, did I grasp a message out of this? Did I get a certain viewpoint that the speaker wanted to communicate? So understand if there was something that was delivered by the speaker. This is pretty important when you are penning down your markings. Was the judge able to capture the speaker's purpose? Yes, this is something that you need to understand. Did the speech relate directly to the purpose? There could be a speaker at the opening will bring a certain purpose, whether that purpose connected directly with his content. This is something that we need to be looking at. Was the audience interest held by the speaker? During the speech, well, did we get distracted on a virtual platform? Did we look at the mobile phone during that time? These things will not happen if the speech has a wonderful opening, body, close, and keeps the connection going. So how effective the speaker's delivery, when we come to delivery part, we will understand, was the speech subject appropriate for the particular audience? Well, you're talking to a different audience. Now, if the contest was held on this audience, a speaker needs to create a super duper speech so that each and every one of us in this audience understands, and it aligns with our backgrounds, the way that we have been brought up. All that needs to be connected when we are delivering a speech. So it's pretty difficult, rather than in our own clubs that we have, on an international platform like this, when you are delivering a speech, whether it connects with the audience. Next. Speech value. How well did you justified your act of speaking? Well, when you are delivering your speech, the act of speaking, it does not have to come purposely. You need to have that natural speaking ability that comes. That will come with rehearsing. When you start rehearsing, you will feel the content from your body. When you will get that content into your heart, and then you will start justifying with that content with the material that you have, a certain example, maybe if it taken from your own life, that will have a more justification than something that is borrowed. Have you said something responsible, meaningful, and original to the audience? Keeping an original speech and delivering that, it is also of importance, because if it is borrowed, you know what happens. You can't have more than 25% of it. So I personally recommend you to have your own stuff. Every day, day to day, we will have our own experiences coming throughout in our lives. So you may have to write them down or jot them down in a book or keep a diary, so that you collect a couple of them to bring out a message out of it. Have the audience felt that you have made a contribution to your thinking? Well, judges need to sit back and say, well, the speaker did say something pretty important to the audience. Yeah, that was good. So when it comes to eradicating tie between two speakers, this is where the judges come and sit back and think, well, this speaker had a message rather than the other speaker. Let me give this speaker a better chance. All the other components were there. Both of them are tied, but this speaker had a better message, better contribution towards the audience. So let me select this speaker as a judge. So these are little tiny components judges will understand through the ballot sheet when making decisions. Were these ideas important ones? Did they have entertainment? Of course, during a speech, we can't be listening to the same boring speech like the way that I am delivering now. You need to have a little bit of entertainment. Of course, if you can bring that entertainment into the audience, you are through with your speeches. So as a judge, we need to look at whether we have done that. Next component, we have understood the 50% of it, content. Now we come to the delivery of it. This part on a virtual platform is pretty scary, On a platform of 20 by 10 stage, oh, wow, you can do wonders. So all those who will start the physical meetings very soon, with COVID being eradicated or being regularized, normalized, so those who are going back to physical contests must understand and keep on delivering your speeches the way it was, and delivery has 30% of the ballot sheet. Let us look at the physical, voice, and manner, how you deliver your speech. Physical. Did your physical presentation of the speech carry the part of the responsibility for audience for effective communication? Did your physical presentation? So, the way that you delivered your speech, does that have a connection to the content? Were you delivering the content responsibly? Maybe, in my opinion, this mostly relates to the dress that you wear, and sometimes you come into an audience. In our culture, we do not look at certain dress codes very nice or very good to see through. But then in different cultures, in different opinions, dress does not matter at all. What matters is how well you look in the audience. But going forward in Toastmasters also, it is a common platform, but you need to be responsible how well you are looking through the camera to the audience. So physical presentation of your speech carried the parts of how responsible and how effective the communication was. And did the appearance reinforce the speech, whether profound, sad, or humorous? Or the dress code that you wear, sometimes I have seen in speeches, international speech itself, the entire dress code is designed to the content. I saw once long ago in a speech where one of the contestants came up on stage, totally dressed up to match the speech. So it's all right. It directly connects with the speech. It brings in a little bit of value, and you are combining that dress code to the speech content. That's all right. You are allowed to do that. Did the body language support points through the gestures, expressions, and body positioning? Yes, something that we need to understand. This physical part of the content, 10% of it, judges needs to be pretty looking at these components pretty importantly, because at the end of the day, as I said, when you are eradicating a speaker on a tie, we have to look at these little components. Did you use your physical appearance effectively and stayed within the designated speaking area? Of course, on a virtual platform, you have to do that strictly. On a physical platform, you will have that huge 10 by 20 or the stage that you are given to work on. So if you had been there, it's very important. Always the speaker, the contest master would say, this is your speaking area. Some would start their speeches outside the speaking area and come on stage. If that happens, the timer gets confused, everyone else gets confused. So do not try to do all sorts of things like that. So just get onto stage and deliver your speeches. The judges will have to look at through the components elaborated on the ballot sheet whether the contestant had met all these objectives. Next. Voice. Did you sound carried the message well? Well, voice is something pretty important when delivering speeches. Don't you agree? I should vary my voice accordingly to whatever the presentation that I do. If I have to lose my voice down or lower it down, I need to. If I have to raise it up, I still have to do it. So as a speaker, depending on the content that he delivered, has he mastered the skill of varying the voice is pretty important. A speaker needs to, once it's written with the mentor, have to sit back and see whether that speaker had gone through the voice variation according to the content, whether it was expressive, whether it has emphasized certain content when places that needs sadness, emotions, whether it was elaborated well. All these things needs to come up, and as a judge, sit back and wonder, okay, this speaker had this content. Well, to my opinion, he did not deliver the voice variation required. Well, that speaker did have voice variation. So likewise, you need to look at your speaker's variations and deliver your put your pen down on the ballot sheet. So ensure that you do that. Voice is something pretty important again on the ballot sheet. Yes, move on. Manner. When you come on and come on to the platform, I say I have an example. I know this speaker. When I listen to him normally, I talk to him one-to-one, and when he carries his duties at office and all that, he is a normal person. But when he comes on stage, he tries to imitate another speaker, another style that takes out completely his originality, and it puts you down also. Therefore, we need to understand that we should not be moving away from this original aspect of your own self. So a judge needs to understand that originality part of the speaker and that what you call that component where you have copied someone, you have copied a person. When a speaker starts delivering the speech itself, you will understand, oh, this speaker is copying this speaker. He is not original. So manner is pretty important again. That is another important component in this factor. So look at that person, that aspect as well when delivering. Did you speak with enthusiasm and assurance? You need to assure the audience, look here, I have come to deliver this speech and I will deliver it. The judge should understand, oh, okay, this is pretty good. The speaker has this enthusiasm to deliver the speech. From the beginning to the end, he did not deviate from his enthusiasm. He did not drop his enthusiasm. He kept on delivering the speech with the same style, gusto, passion, all that. So whether that was kept right throughout is again something that we need to look at. Did you show interest towards the audience, and were you confident? You make a joke and they did not respond. How do you react? Now, on a virtual platform, you wouldn't understand this. Doesn't matter. Virtual platform is the best forum to crack any jokes, whatever you want. So keep on cracking jokes. You would not hear what the audience is all about. But when you get on to the physical platform, you will have to ensure whether you got carried away from a response from the audience or not. So if you had delivered, rehearsed, practiced your speech, and if you had mastered the humorous speech component with delivering humorous speeches, you will know whether a humor will be triggered from the audience or not. So don't worry about it, but keep on delivering it. Virtual platform is the best forum to crack jokes. So keep on doing that. The last but the least component, language. Most of the judges mark this down or is not concentrating on this too much. But in my opinion, I think to differentiate again a contestant or a speaker from a tie, we need to go back to this particular area. Let us look at how appropriate and correct your language should be. Tinusha? Appropriateness. Did you use language with correct choice of words that relates to the speech purpose and to the audience here in this speech? I have been brought up in a background where English is not my first mother tongue. It's not my mother tongue. So we learned it by ourselves. When we are speaking, we need to speak stimulating another language in our mind and then coming with our words. The best way we deliver our speech would be with subtle, simple words. I think even Toastmasters International is going with those currently. We have a Greek goddess. We call her the Greek goddess of our club because she used high, profound, elite words that most of us do not understand. And she could not place herself in our contest mostly because the judges felt that was too high fluent. And then she got herself out of it, and now she's winning one after the other because she comes up with very simple, subtle words to deliver her speech. So we need to see whether the words that you use were appropriate, the audience understood them properly, and whether you are using proper language in that to the core. Using high fluent words will not put you up well in a different audience. If you are having advanced Toastmasters clubs, and I'm not blaming anyone or putting any dark notes onto what I'm on my content, but I'm saying if you are in a high fluent forum, having high fluent words would be, or you call them jargon, would be of importance. And to an audience that understands those words, yes, I would definitely ask you to go ahead with those. You are in a technical forum, you need to use technical words. You are in a general forum, you don't have to use that. So ensure that you follow your correct language and that is appropriate to the speech topic that you use. Did your language promote clear understanding of thoughts of that fit to the occasion precisely is what I just told you. So imagine the content that you have in your speech goes with any audience, whether it's elite or not. A general audience, a general judge should understand. So judges would be of varied backgrounds, and each and every judge needs to understand. So the important part of the judge would be place the appropriateness accordingly. And the last but not least on the ballot sheet is the correctness of the language. When a speaker embarks on a speech, on a contest, especially from club to area, if they have not corrected their language, I think, in my opinion, as a judge, we need to mark them down. We need to mark them down. They need to practice their language. They need to come up with proper English, proper language skills, and present their speech properly without any grammatical error. I know per se that I had a lot during this presentation. My grammarian will give the report at the end of the speech, but then I'm delivering a spontaneous speech. I could make mistakes accordingly, but still for all, on a prepared speech, no, you are not. You are supposed to deliver a flawless, proper, grammatically correct speech, especially when it comes to area level. So as a judge, I think we need to completely mark them down if you find any grammar errors. As a speaker, if any speakers here, they need to understand that we have to concentrate on the language as well. So this is it, and then we will move on to the summary of our entire presentation. Summary would be: the speech was a well-prepared one. You understood, not done a day before, not prepared day before, but it has been prepared well. As a judge, you need to understand this was a well-prepared one. Do not go with half-baked speeches compared to a well-prepared speech. You need to mark them down. If you think as a judge, well, this speaker is eloquent, this speaker will do well, maybe some speakers come and noticing that judges are there, well, I did my speech just day before the contest begins, they just keep on saying these things, promoting their speech beforehand. So don't listen to any of those things. Even if you know the speaker, if you know that speaker had been delivering speeches, if you felt that speech was not prepared, please mark them down accordingly at the appropriate places. Has gone through it rewriting. When you are prepared, you know that it has to be written again, over and over again, written well, understand the judge's criteria. When a speech is properly done, a contestant will have to understand the ballot sheet properly. So the judges will find it very easy to mark them up or down accordingly. Hot topics in demand needs to be thought about. You need to look at what are the hot topics around. It always captures the audience's attention. But mind you, I don't think that we need to talk about Corona. We had been listening it for about 1.5 years already. So maybe a different topic out of Corona, or you got out of Corona, or the experience that you got through, but a little bit of it might entice the audience. Delivered to inspire the audience and was delivered with a lot of passion. That is something that we need to understand as judges. Speaker did not tumble with the content, even so recovered well. We find speakers tumble with their content, but we see brilliant recoveries, brilliant comebacks during those speeches. As a judge, we need to understand that and mark them accordingly. An original known to the speaker, and as a judge, you did not make any assumptions until you listen to the last word was spoken. As a judge, there are eloquent senior Toastmasters in our fraternity. We need to understand that we do not go by hearsay, or we do not go by the knowledge that we have. But as a judge, I would kindly request all judges to promptly look at the speaker and listen to the speaker from the first word uttered until the last word delivered. From the first word uttered to the last word delivered without any distraction, because it will make or break the speaker. As a judge, we need to ensure that we will make a speaker, not break a speaker. Thanks to you. Thanks to Dinusha for giving this opportunity to me, and I open the forum for Q&A. Over to you.
Thank you, DTM Piacara, for this wonderful presentation.